All right. Just wait a couple of minutes and then we'll do a quick recap and get this started. How's everybody doing today? If you're here and you're in the chat, just let me know how everything sounds. Hey, what's going on, buddy? Nice to see you here again. You've shown up to every stream so far, I think. Late. Nah, we're just getting started. Just had lunch. Just poured myself a nice glass of red wine. Just chilling. Nice Saturday. Nice way to spend a Saturday. Sound is perfect. I spent like hours tweaking my microphone. Because I live in a very noisy area, if you don't know. And it's not just the trains and the busy street in front of the house and all that. I got my boiler right below me that sometimes kicks on, and it just adds so much more sound. It's not a quiet house. Yeah, Pixelate, I went to Stream Beats, and they had a whole like 6 or 7 hour pack of copyright-free lo-fi music. They have a EDM mix that I haven't downloaded yet. This is the lo-fi playlist. Yeah, I'm liking the sound of it too. Better than just silence, you know? Just add a little bit more production value, keep you guys a little bit more interested and engaged. Alright, so let's get started. If you watched the stream last week, then you know where we left off. If you didn't, I'll give you a quick recap. Here, let me turn off the overlay. So we started where Washington to Baltimore track ends, right here, right before the curve at milepost 93. So we laid on tracks 3, 2, 1, and alpha, this curve, this tangent, and then for this following curve, we did tracks 3, 2, and 1. We're going to be catching track alpha back up to the rest of the track. We did all these individual curves. These weren't all laid together. These were all laid individually because of the behavior here at bay interlocking. All of these curves do very, very different things. And then we brought tracks 3, 2, and 1 down here. Track 2 ends right here right before it curves. Have to rejoin that today. That's the first thing we'll be doing. So tracks 3 and 1 continue all the way down here to where they rejoin together on parallel track at point interlocking. So what we're going to do first is connect track 2 to this point. All right. So let's get back here to track 2. Now this curve is a little weird, and if you watched the last stream on the 18th, you'll know that we had a terrible time with track 3's curvature because of how much it changed. And I had to get a little bit creative with the values because the track charts, they weren't really working out for me, but we didn't fudge the values too much. It's still pretty genuine. So anyway, let's go into the charts. Now we are right here. Here, let me draw. We are right here. So the curve for track 2 starts, I don't know, about halfway, approximately 2/3 of the way into the curve that we did on track 3. So let's look at around that point. Oh, and it's 0.49 degrees of curvature. So we'll plug that into the calculator. 3560. All right. So I think it's referring to this curve right here. Let me double check. 6240 is my main curvature. I just want to double check this is the right curve. 0.28. I'll just plug that in here. 60. Yeah, all right. So this is the right curve. The track charts I have say that it's going to start about 2/3 of the way into the curve. This is about halfway where I'm at right now. We'll go a little bit more and then we'll try land this curve. What's the curvature? 3564. I don't know how long this curve is going to go, because it is a compound curve. Even though you do see gaps here, like right here it shows a gap, right here it shows a gap, it's actually one large curve. We've been running into that issue quite a bit with these track charts. So it's going to change curvature values 3 times, and then it'll turn back into straight track. Keep forgetting the frickin' value. 3564. That's never going to change, guys. I'm always going to forget, and I'm always going to be bouncing back and forth. 3564. Yeah, I think we might need to go a little bit further. Alright, let's bring it 20 meters further up. And then we'll start 3564. Might even need to go a little bit further. Yep, it's curving too quickly. So 20 is not enough. Let's try 40. We're just setting up our straight track to get perfectly into this curve. Pixelade's asking, why do they place those gaps on the chart then? That's confusing. I really don't know. I really do not know. Maybe to show that there are 3 clear curvatures on that curve? I don't know. But I've had other geometry charts from 2004, I can pull those up later, that will show the differences in curvature on a single curve, and it's very clear that it is a single curve, not split up into 3. I wish I had those charts for this, but I don't have that kind of granularity. 3564. There we go. Ooh, that's looking nice. So let's see how long we can keep this going like this before we have to start curving it again. Alright, we're going to have to change curvature right about here, because if we keep going with this main curve, it's going to collide into track 3. So if we look at the charts, that should give us a clue where this curve ends. I mean, not curve ends, but where that value of curvature ends and the other one takes over. Seems to be right before the overhead bridge, which would be this bridge right here. So you have an undergrade bridge right here, which is represented on the charts, and then you have this overhead bridge, which is also on the charts. I'm going to experiment with this, because we got this first part of the curve set up very nicely. I'm going to remember this value, and remember it for me too. Play along at home. 275. And now we'll transition into our second part of the curve, which is 0.29 degrees of curvature. 6022. So I'm gonna lay that transition. And it doesn't have to be perfect. 6020. We're just feeling this out to get the right length of this last bit of the curve. Doesn't have to be perfect. Alright. So this is an indication that we didn't lay enough of this first part of the curve, because it's going too far off to the right. So we have to have it curve in a bit more before we do the transition. So I'm going to rip this up. Go back to it. And we'll do 300. Yeah. And now we'll do 6022. Let's see how that looks. I got a feeling it's not enough. Yeah, because if I lay this, take a look, see how it's too far off to the right. So 300 wasn't enough. Let's do, I don't know, let's get a little bit drastic. Let's do 330. And who knows, sometimes those really drastic values end up working in your favor. Alright, 6022. Alright, 6027 is fine. Ah, look at that. See how nicely that's lining up now? Great. But I want to lay this really quick and then turn off the overlay and see. I want to check track spacing between 3 and 2. That's looking real nice. The tracks aren't getting too close together. Right here they are a little bit, and then it separates off a bit. Should I be concerned about that? I don't think so. Trying to think if I should be concerned about that. Alright, you know what I'm going to do? I am a little bit concerned about it. So I'm going to back off that curve a little bit. So 330 was very, very close. Very, very close. What I'm going to do is just chop off a little bit. It might make it 320, yeah, 326. Alright, let's give that a shot. Do the same thing. Right into 6022. Yeah, I'm really liking this music right now. It's nice that it's also copyright free. Alright, here we go. Let's check the spacing now. It's looking a little bit better to me. Little bit better. Alright, let's go with this. But first, I need to ensure that my weld is starting at the curve here, and it's not. There's probably a very good reason for that, because I laid too much straight track, but I mean, that's kind of just how it works out. I'm fine with having the weld there, to be honest. It's close enough to the curve, and I don't want to have multiple welds. Just, you know, minimize the number of welds, basically. It's close enough to the curve to where that's practically the beginning of the curve. Alright. So let me do a save. And we know how long it takes to save. It's kind of crazy. I don't know why it takes so long to save. Alright, cool. Actually, that wasn't that bad. Let's turn back on the overlay. And let's get a feel in the track charts for where this transition ends. And we go into this little more, this final shallow bit. So I'm just guessing, somewhere in the middle here. Oh, the signal bridge. Pretty much lines up right with the signal bridge. So, it's basically telling me I should be able to continue this rate of curvature up into the signal bridge. But I'm not seeing it that way. I'm not seeing it that way at all. Not seeing it that way at all. Trying to think. Alright, we might have to make this curve a little bit tighter than the track charts specify. Alright, let's play with that. I think we have the point where it transitions correct. Let's just go a little bit tighter than 6021. Let's go to... Let's be a little bit conservative and go 5900. I just want to see where that ends up. I believe our track spacing's good. It actually looks like it's getting tighter here. I want to kind of follow the same transitions that track 3 does, because these are pretty much parallel at this point. I know it's not going to be perfect, but 6308 for this curve. They don't make the same transitions, though. Yeah, it's interesting. Pixelade is asking, not really on topic, but I figured I'd ask it here. Someone in the Facebook group was nice enough to give me source for Amtrak timetables, but I can't seem to find any for Mark. What do you mean? Employee timetables? Or, like, historical timetables? Because I can give you the ones I use for the Washington to Baltimore career scenarios. trying to figure this bastard out. If I kept it at 5900, is it going to interfere with the track spacing? I don't know. That's not too close, is it? No, it's not. Not too close. This is tricky. This is really tricky. Let me cut this back a little bit more. Let's do 317. What did we try originally? 300, and then we jumped straight to 330. It may have been too drastic. So now let me do like 5700. Just playing around here with these numbers. No, it just canceled on me. Ooh, we're kind of getting there, but there is another transition right here that I don't think is represented on the charts. Let's try to replicate that. Get it to follow track 3 as best we can, while keeping spacing in check, and it looks like it's fine. Alright, so we're going to go a little bit lower than 5600. Do 54. Looks about right. Looks like it starts to transition right about here. Or do I just continue it like that? Let's see how that pans out. Just checking the track spacing again between. That's starting to get a little much. Oh, it's like perfect here though. All right, let's go with it. Let's go with it. It's starting to encroach a little bit too much because there's a transition here for track. Oh no, it's not a transition, it's just a weld. There is a transition up there though where it gets more shallow. Okay. So Pixelade, yeah, I will send you. You're a member of the Facebook group, I'm assuming. I will send you the mark timetables that I use to make scenarios. Maybe you're just looking in the wrong place. It's okay though. I'll hook you up, buddy. Alright, so 0.21. This should be our last part of the curve. We just gotta make sure we're starting it in the right spot. 8316. I don't know, that seems a little too shallow. So if I continue at this, I'm still not tight enough. Damn. This is difficult. And I want to keep the track spacing nice. Because now it's separating again. I want to keep it consistent if I can. It definitely doesn't shallow out. I don't see how it could. Yeah, this makes no sense. I'm just gonna go with my gut. Because that hasn't really failed me before. It's gonna have to get a little bit tighter. Like 5,000. I could see how. Oh, I see. Because remember, the signal bridge is where it said it got a little bit more shallow. Alright, maybe signal bridge. I'll try to continue this curvature all the way to the signal bridge. And if it doesn't work, I'm just going to tweak it. Okay. So it's good up to like that point, and then it's not tight enough at that point. It's veering off. I might have to adjust this value for this curve. So start it a little bit later, and then make it a little bit tighter? Or start it in the same spot? That's a tough one. Start it a little bit later. Let's make this like 5 more, if I can. Actually, let me just cut this off. What am I at right now? 295. Let's add 20. 25. That's the problem with laying short pieces of track like this, because you can't really choose which part of the curve you want to lay. I move my mouse the slightest bit and it jumps around. That's why I gotta cut this back to lay a longer piece. What am I at right now? 271, so I want to add 50. There we go. Perfect. So now I'll take it a little bit tighter. 5,300? See how that works. Man, this one's tough. This whole area has been a bitch. Alright. So I think the track spacing... Let's look at it. Let me measure between these tracks. .13 meters. What is that in feet? I think that's fine, actually. 4 meters. No, we're good. Alright, let's keep laying this. That looks good. If I can get it like this all the way up to the signal bridge, that would be phenomenal. Oh, look at that. Alright, I think we're good. As long as the track spacing is good at this point, between 3 and 2. Ooh, came too close. Just a tad too close. Okay, I know what to do now. We are almost there. So 5330 is a little bit too tight. So we're gonna back it off now. Alright. Almost there, guys. Let's try 5,500. Turn back on the overlay. So far, so good. Now it's getting too far. So somewhere between 5,500 and 5,330. 5,330 was really close. Let's try 5,380. Let's do a little bit of an increase. I think we might have found the golden ticket. I don't want to speak too soon though. Where's the signal bridge? Oh, I passed it. Alright, that's close enough. Track spacing looks good. Let me just do a quick measurement. Oops, not offset tool. Ruler tool. Click drag. 4.44 meters. So there was some separation. What was the closest point they got? Right here. .96, I think. Let me just move up a little bit. I don't want these to be too close. Too close. 3.52. Shit. Alright. So, because it's too tight, I want to stick with 5381. I just need to cut this back a little bit. Just 5 meters at a time. Any of you guys building routes of your own? Any aspiring route builders in the stream? Let's take a look at this. If that can hold all the way to the signal bridge where we do our final transition, I think we'll be good. 3.93. Is that its closest point? Yeah. Oh, that looks good. It's not getting any closer here, is it? 4.06. Okay, so it is doing a little bit of a separation act. That's fine. Turn back on the overlay. Let's get to the signal bridge. I'm actually okay that it's a little bit off from the Google Maps overlay, but I don't want it to separate too much. It's separating too much. Cut it back a little bit more and then do like 5350. This is really, really tough. It's just a whole bunch of trial and error. And there's no other way to do it. So Pixelade, you're a aspiring route builder, or you are a route builder? Let's look at that. Seattle to Portland, you're making Ron? How long is that? That's gotta be a few hundred miles, right? And then JG says, route building way over my head. I like my novice title. Hopefully I'm not making it seem harder than it is. I'm just trying to accurately replicate a real world route, because I have the ability to do so. So we're still looking good as far as track spacing goes, which is nice, which means I can make this a little bit tighter. And about 53. Yeah, we're going back to that number, 5330. That seemed to kind of be the magic number. It was just a matter of getting that transition point correct. Oh man, is this going to be too close? Oh, it's like right there. I don't want to get any closer than that. 3.8. I don't want to get any closer than 3.8. Like ever. Where's the signal bridge? Right there. Alright. Let's see the closest point they get to. Oh, I think I may... Right here. Right here. If this is less than 3.8. Alright, we're good. Nice. The trains aren't going to sideswipe. Cool. Alright, let me save. This is where I'm going to do my next transition. Hi, Bharat. How you doing, man? Radanju, nice to see you again. Radanju says, I still haven't had the motivation considering I have to keep starting over since I'm still learning. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it. I relayed the track on my New Haven to Boston route 3 times. And it's still not up to par. I lay track now way better than I did back then. It's just a lot of repetition. That's all it is. Just with anything, repetition. Let's take a sip of my drink. Southeaster Mass Railfanner says, this is inspiring for me. As I said, I want to replicate the Greenbush MBTA line. Okay. when I was playing around with the editor for Train Sim World, I actually did a little bit of that area. Did all of Southampton Street Yard and all that. It's pretty cool. Yeah, you do need to enter billing information. And Ron, you said Seattle to Portland's 200 miles? Yeah, sounds about right. That's a long route, buddy. Yeah, I wish I could share the Train Sim World project I did. Can't. Not yet. Alright, so now we gotta figure out where this transitions. If I continue laying this track at this curvature, it's going... yeah, it does have to shallow out at some point. Because now it's encroaching on track 3. Let's just find that point. Let's go one cat pole at a time. And check the track spacing and make sure that it's not crowding in on it too much. Okay. Hopefully I don't have to relay this curve because of welds. I think I'm good. Yeah, that starts at the curve. Okay, good. We're fine. I hate getting into a very complex curve and then forgetting to make sure my welds are good. Alright, let's get to the next cat pole and see... Alright, now you can see we're starting to really encroach on track 3. So we're going to start our final transition, and we don't have much further to go before we rejoin these straight tracks, and then it becomes a lot easier. I'm excited for it to become a lot easier, because for this area to be the introduction, I can see how it would turn some people off. It is a little bit daunting. Alright, so 0.21. 8316. For some reason I highly doubt it's going to be that, but give it a shot. 8316. Oh wow. Holy shit. Yeah, it actually is that. Redanju, yeah, billing information. When you apply, maybe I'll make a video on this again, because my old API key video is outdated. You have to put in valid billing information into your Google account in order for your API key to work, because if you go over the free usage limits, which a single developer will never do, by the way, it needs a payment source in order to bill you for extra usage per month. It bills you based on how many individual tiles you draw. So I have the game configured to load 3x3 tiles, so every time I'm moving around, I'm loading 9 tiles, essentially. And I think you get 100,000 calls per month free. Something like that. Alright, anyway. 8316 ended up being really good, actually. Almost. We are so close to rejoining that. Okay, if we're gonna stick with that 8316 value, then I gotta cut this back a little bit. $83.16. It's close enough. Alright, so I really do have to cut it back a fair bit more. Which is good, because that gives track 3 a little bit more room to breathe. Yeah, single developer's never gonna run into the issue, really, I don't think, where they load too many tiles and get charged. Wait, did I do the number? Yeah, 8316. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I do need to lay more track, because it needs to curve more before it... Oh, okay. My whole thought process was flawed. Alright, let's get to the point where it was starting to crowd in on track 3. Just want to get a good view of this. So it's starting to crowd in on track 3 right there. Alright. So we are going to go a little bit tighter than 8316. We're going to do 8200 to start. Just see how that looks. Yeah. I gotta go a little bit more than that. 8100 perhaps? It's getting closer though. Ooh. That's promising. Now these curves don't have to end in the same spot, by the way. They just have to rejoin this straight track right here. So I'm just gonna remember this number. I want to get nice. I want to lay this in such a way that the straight track that continues kind of matches up with the end over there. That's how I kind of know I'm on the right line of thought. Oh, look at that. That is not bad. That is not bad at all. Not bad at all. Alright, we just got to make it a little bit tighter. So 8090, just got to get a little bit tighter. And then we can get this thing rejoined. If you watched last week's stream, then you'll have seen how that magic ended up. Took a while to get to that point, but it was well worth it. And you guys get to see this one very early in the video. Alright, let's start with 350 main curve length. Let's see where this ends up. Here's off to the left, but how does it look here? Alright. Now it's curving too much. Okay, I know what I gotta do. Same thing I had to do to track 3 last week. See how it's coming back together a little bit too quickly. Alright, so that piece of track 34, let's take it to 40 instead. If I can get it to 40. Come on, show me the gray. There we go. Now let's do that same curvature that we just did. 80, what was it? 80, 40 or something like that? Yeah. This should look a little bit better. Oh, yeah. 341. Let's bring this out, see how it looks down here. Really good. A little bit off to the left, but that's fine. Right here. Oh, that's almost like perfect. Here, I don't know if you guys can see that really well. See that right there? The track I laid is just a little bit to the right. Which means it's just a little bit too tight of a curve. So 8046 is so close. Let's try 8050. And I'll look at the chat real quick. Somebody has a question about the billing info for the API key for Google Maps. On the bottom of the Google Cloud page for the billing section, it says it'll charge you after a month. Are you sure you're in the Google Developers Console where you can get API keys? Or are you looking at some other service that Google offers? It should not say that it's going to charge you after a month. It will charge you per month if you go over the free usage limits. Alright, so 8050 is the number I'm looking for. And we're gonna have to tweak this number because we are like so close. Alright, now we're at a point where we have to find out how long our main curve is going to be. So let's start with 325 and see what that gets us. All right, and that's not enough because it still continues curving off to the right. All right, fine. So 325 is not enough. Let's try 327. Small increments. Oh, and before I get too much into this, I just want to look at the track spacing throughout. Nice. It's not getting too close together. Closest is this point, and we already determined that that is not going to result in a side swipe, so we're good. 327, let's test that out. Okay, so it's ending a little bit to the right, which is fine. And it continues to the right, which is not fine. So we're gonna go a little bit further. Let's jump up to 330. This one's ending just a little bit to the right again, which is fine. If it comes back to the left, and it does not. It's still veering off to the right, but we're almost there. Yeah, Ron, I've never been charged by Google either. Actually, since I started doing these live streams, more and more people have been going to my channel, and I was able to hit the $100 Google ad revenue limit. So I was looking at my bank statement and saw an extra $101 on there. I just crossed the threshold. So thank you guys for watching my videos. Let's try 332. And I want to continue to grow the channel. I really do. I've been kind of slacking. Alright, so it finishes off to the right a little bit, which is fine. If it comes back. And, oh, it stays. Like, holy shit. That is so close. So 332 is, oh man, let's try 333. Okay. Alright, perfect. So it starts a little bit to the right and it ends up a little bit to the left. It's almost perfect. So we can find a spot where it is perfect, and then it will create an automatic junction for us. So I'm going to cut this back. Oops. So you can see where my curve ends right here. Now I'm just going to keep laying straight track until I reach a point where it's perfect. Actually, that's not curving enough for me. One more adjustment. So 333, I'm going to go 334. Want it to curve just that little bit more. You got to take your time with these, otherwise you'll get jolts. When you leave your curve and go back to the straight track, it'll jolt. And you want it to be a nice smooth transition. You don't want to suddenly be changing curvatures. Looks a little nicer. Little bit nicer. So now we're just going to keep laying straight track until we make a junction. See that? How it made an automatic junction? But if I look at that junction, you can still see that the track is off to the right a little bit. And I want it to be lined up perfectly. In order to do that, I want to lay this track a little bit more. I want it to curve more to the left So I'm gonna lay it a little bit further. Let me just jump up to 336. It's taking a little bit too long. Wow, it automatically made a junction for me. I don't want that. But that means we're really damn close. Ooh, look at that. That's a beauty. That's a keeper. Look at that. You can't even tell. You can't even tell that that's a different piece of track. Kaboom. Love it. It looks seamless, doesn't it, guys? You can see the weld there. We got that perfect. That's going to be a nice smooth ride. Nice smooth ride. And that'll be the weld for the end of the curve. I don't want to end up creating an additional weld. Nice. Save that. That's a beauty. How long have we been streaming? 45 minutes, and we got one curve done. And I love how the music is like really like happy music now. All right, cool. So, I mean, but that was a very important curve to get right. And it looks good too. I mean, it does get a little bit close to track 3, but it's well within the tolerance, so I'm just gonna go with it. All right, so now let's take a look at track alpha, where we left off. Right over here. This was the area where all 3 of these tracks got laid individually because they started doing like weird curvature shit at bay. Let's look at, here, I'm just going to increase the opacity. Let's look at what track alpha does. It seems to curve normally, and it actually seems to follow the exact curvature of track 1. I don't see it splitting off at all. I mean, there's a little bit right here, but for the most part, it's curving the exact same way as track 1. Where is it? Right here. It's continuing. Oh. It's like going off and it's... No, it continues to follow track 1. It's just hard to see because the Google imagery tiles change so much. That's a little stub track there. Alright. Yeah, it just perfectly follows track 1. If I had known that, I could have laid all these together. Or, I'll show you a cool trick. It'll save us some time. I just want to make sure that they don't deviate at all. And they don't appear to. They appear to just stay, yeah, perfectly together. Nice. So we're going to use the offset tool for this. Perfect candidate for the offset tool. Yep. Nice. Okay, cool. And I believe it continues with the rest of our tracks over here. Yep, nice. So we're going to use the offset tool for this, guys. And we know that the track centers are 4.2 meters at this point where we continued. So what I'm going to do is select track 1. Let me just disable the overlay for a moment. I'm going to select a whole bunch of track 1. Yeah. Trying to think. I might just have to do this curve manually. Where did this curve end? Right here? Alright, I'll do it up to this point. So I'd use the select tool. Yeah, no worries, Evan. Nice of you to join. Hope you enjoyed your lunch. Alright, so I have a whole bunch of track 1 selected right now. And you can use the offset tool to lay lofts offset from another loft. So I'm going to choose 4.2 meters as the distance from the center of this loft to lay my other loft. And because we know that we traced it all out, it's consistent all the way, it doesn't deviate, it just follows track 1 really, really nicely. For now, I'm just going to use the concrete track model. We can change all the other models later on, it's trivial. So for each of these little nodes, you select your loft and then you left click the node. And all the welds will be in the same spots too, once you use the weld tool. So I'm just going to continue along, selecting the loft and left clicking. And it's going to lay this other track exactly 4.2 meters offset from the loft I had selected. So this is super, super awesome. Saves us a lot of time, because why duplicate work? We already have a track that's perfectly laid that it just follows. Concrete, left click. So remember this trick, guys. Offset tool is your friend. Alright, great. So now we're at the point where all these tracks continue in a nice parallel fashion. No more weird curvature shit for now. So now I'll use the weld tool to just tidy all this up. And then we still have to connect the other curve, but that'll be easy. See all that? Look at that, guys. That's like 90% of the work done. Just doing a save. How's everybody liking the music? I'm glad I was able to find nice, relaxing, copyright-free music for this. So, how am I going to go about this? First, I'm going to have to lay it at a different radius offset from this. Let's just continue at this constant radius and see what happens. Nothing good happens. Okay. Let me delete that. Oh, it might give me what radius I need if I use the select tool. Yeah, let me do that. Let me use the select tool on this bit. Just up to like right here. Do the offset. Or I'll show you something cool. I don't need that. Wait, why is that so off? Oh shit, are my track centers not 4.2 here? Ah, that's right. Right here, my track centers aren't 4.2. Remember when we first started laying track, it was 3.8, and then once we got into this curve, everything separated out and then came back together at 4.2? So 4.2 isn't gonna work for this curve. For the rest of it, it's fine. I think it all adds up, not lines up nicely on Google Maps. Yeah, it looks fine. So it's just for that one curve, we're gonna have to do some custom shenanigans. And I think even this little bit is gonna be fine. Should be able to merge that. Oh, one sec, I gotta select this tool to merge. Oops. Nice. Minimizing welds. And I guess for now I'll create a weld here manually. So now it's just a matter of modifying this curve to get it to merge here nicely. So we're going to have to adjust the radius of curvature think down here's where the other curves changed. So as we were laying, it sharpened and then shallowed out right about here. I think it was right by the signal bridge if I look. Yeah, signal bridge right here. Yeah, I can see the changes right here. What is our radius of curvature right now? 1019. I gotta sharpen it. So let's go to 950. Oh yeah, and I was using the freight preset on these curves, I believe. $950 is a good starting point. Okay, never mind. Maybe I gotta make it curve a little bit earlier. I can do that. Actually, I can kind of gauge how this is gonna go. Ah, shit, I forgot. Freight, not mainline. $915, it'll be fine to start with, that looked good. Oof, see? That's nasty. Sheet. Alright, I'm having it curve too quickly. Hopefully this is the last painful curve for a while. Let me just do a quick save. Music good for the soul, they say. Yeah, I love music, JG. Okay. So our radius right now is 1019. I don't know how long I'm going to continue that radius of curvature. Maybe until I start seeing a noticeable split, which is what I do notice here. What is my other curvature here? 884, 869. So it's going to be somewhere right around 900. I just don't know what value I'm going to pick yet. Let's start with 905. Ooh. That's disgusting. That probably means I laid too much. And take a lot of trial and error. Not sharp enough. Oops, not mainline preset. I keep forgetting that. Almost there. Almost there. And the track centers look good. So, good. Oops. Deleted a little too much. Oh, that's a glitch with the undo tool. Don't always trust the undo tool. It might screw up some of your stuff and delete more things than you intended. Sometimes it's best just to manually select the stuff you want deleted. Evan, we are at milepost 92, 92.3, I think. Just connecting track A back in, and then we're going to continue laying track north, because we got everything joined back together now. Got most of the hard crap done. This was difficult, I'm not gonna lie, guys. This was not easy. Even for the best of track layers, it's not easy. And I can see how people would get discouraged. Let's try 8... Fuck it, let's try 850. Probably gonna be a bit extreme. Yeah, it's too extreme. Alright, so somewhere between 850 and 870 is our magic value. Then we can get this bastard reconnected the same way we did the other two tracks. Let's try 860. That's too much as well. At least I think we're between 850 and 870 is what we gotta pick. Let's just go for 870. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe that was with the longer curve. Oh yeah, no, that's too much. Okay, that's good to know. Let's try 880. Okay. Ooh. Alright, almost there. Track centers look good. Just a little bit too much. So between 870 and 880. That I can do. Alright, that looks like a good place to start. So 344 is this length of track. Let's see where that goes. A little bit too much. So 344 is a little bit too much, I think. Let me see where this goes. Yeah. Oh wait. No, not enough. Okay, I know what that means. So 874 is not enough. Gotta go down to like 873. For any of the viewers out there, for your routes that you're working on, have you encountered any kind of curves like these? Where it just veers off like crazy, and then you have to do some magic to get it to rejoin. Have you guys ever ran into that yet? 342. It's all just trial and error, yeah. But I keep saying. Now that's a little bit too much. The radius of curvature might be good, but I just laid a little bit too much track. So I was at 342. I can snip this back a little bit. Just try again. It's kind of the same way with the Train Sim World Editor. Not as severe though. There's a lot more forgiveness with track laying in the Train Sim World Editor. Ooh, that's getting real nice and close. If I continue a little bit more... Alright, we're almost there. You almost got this dialed in. Wait, I forget. Where were we at? Was it a little bit too far to the right? Yeah, so we just gotta cut it back. Oops, see, the undo tool is screwing me again. Just manually select what I want to delete. Just cut back another couple meters. And hopefully this lines up. Now that was a little too much. So let me get that value that we just had. We're at 339. I was at 340. 340. Oh wow, this is really close. Let's try 339.6. Woohoo! So friggin' close. It's a little bit off to the left. A little bit more than I want it to be. So 339.6 is not enough. Let's do 339.8. This is where we start getting into really small decimals, and it happens a lot. I'm sure we're gonna run into this again. 339.8. I wish you could get into more decimal points than just one. Oops. Oh shit, that automatically welded. Like, I didn't even create a junction, that just automatically welded for me. Oh, it's a train going by. A Acela. That just automatically welded. But it's off slightly, but that's not even gonna be an issue. Alright. I want to try that again. That was interesting. Let's try just laying it a little bit further. Oh, well, let me lay it any further. Oh, wait, no, yes it will. Wait a minute. Can I do this? I don't think that's going to create any ride quality issues, to be honest. But I'm not too happy with that. I'd rather do it manually. Alright, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna cut this off. And we will do it manually. That was just a little too much. I'm gonna cut off like half of that. It's so freaking close. Now it's on the other side. It's always funny when the game wants to do shit for you automatically. The end of the curve, right there. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Oops. There we go. That's nice. Yeah, you can see there's a slight visible joint there. Yeah, you can kind of see that. It's tough to see. Yeah. Yeah, that's perfectly fine though. All right, great. So there's our curve. Let's yeah, I mean, it's just a visual issue really if you have the separation like that. It's not going to cause a ride quality thing. So let's look at the track centers. Yeah. Nice. Track centers look nice, and then it just follows track 1 all the way down to point interlocking. Where we get everything to join back together. So let's take a look on the map what we've done. So we started laying track right here, milepost 93. Got this first curve done easily enough. That's a nice easy curve. Everything stays together. And then everything starts going haywire. Every track starts doing its own thing except for tracks 1 and A staying together. And then we get everything to come back together seamlessly with a nice comfortable track spacing of 4.2 meters between them, and we are ready to continue north. Let's do a save. I'm gonna pour myself a little bit more wine. I don't drink wine all that often, but I do low carb dieting. And I found, well, let me give you a little more backstory. Before I did low carb dieting, I had my own fettuccine alfredo recipe that I would do. And, you know, pasta is full of carbs. So when I started low carb, I had to give up pasta. Just one of the things I had to do. And I was cool with that because I occasionally did make Alfredo sauce and just had some of it with chicken. But I found this new product called a Miracle Noodle. It's a plant-based noodle that has like no carbs at all. It's mostly water, to be honest. I wanted to give them a try, and I did recently, and I fell in love. And it worked so well with the Alfredo sauce that I used to make. So, an awesome pairing with any kind of Italian cuisine is a nice dark red wine. So, if you choose the right red wine, it's still low carb. Just have it in moderation. It's the white wines and like Moscatos, Rieslings, those types of wines have a lot of sugar in them. As long as you stay away from those, you can still enjoy wine. And I do. Oh, is that where you had lunch, Evan, at Olive Garden? That's kind of funny. What did you order? Alright, so we're good. Oh, this feels good to be at this point where we can just continue normally. Alright, let's look at the track charts. We are done with the nonsense for the time being. I don't know when we'll run into nonsense again. Actually, let's take a look at I haven't showed you guys the cab ride video at all today. We'll look at the cab ride video a little bit and just see what we have in store for us going forward. Alright. Oh yeah, you had spaghetti and meatballs, tons of carbs though. Actually, let's just do a quick recap of everything we've laid. So this is where we continued. Where we started, rather, on the 18th. Curve right before milepost 93. Speed limit 60 miles per hour. All of this is 60 until we clear Bay, at which point it goes up to 110. Yeah, Pixelate, for the time being, I am not going to jinx myself and say, we're in the clear, guys. We're not going to get screwed again. I mean, we've proven we can handle it. If we do get hit with a nasty curve, I think these are the nastiest curves we'll deal with. And if not, we'll figure out a way to deal with it. It's just going to take longer. This took absurdly long as it is. This is like, what? Fucking 4 miles of track? This took absurdly long. Alright, and this is where all the tracks start doing their own individual acts, going off in every which direction. Doesn't look like it, but you'll see it momentarily. Yeah, Evan, there is an interlocking called wine. That's pretty funny. I think there's one called brandy, too. Oh yeah, it'll be fine, Pixelate. I am very patient. Alright, so we've cleared Bay, and now we can get up to 110. And this Acela, man, it's no slouch. It can pick up when it wants to. It doesn't screw around. Granted, this particular train in the video does have an extra car wedged between it that has all the geometry equipment. It's a revenue train with an extra geometry car added into the mix. So it is a little bit slower to accelerate compared to a normal Acela, but it's still no slouch. This is where we started having issues, figuring out the curvatures for all these tracks, right here. Pain in the ass. Now we're at South Limits Point. Now we're within point interlocking. Track shallowed out and spaced out a little bit more at this point. Yeah, we've replicated all that nicely. And here we are. This is where we are, guys. So let's look a little bit further. Let's see what's in store for us. One thing I noticed right off the bat, and I'm not going to bother replicating this, but it's worth noting, is if you look, there's a drop in track 3. The ballast for track 2 is higher. So you'll find that on different parts of the corridor. Certain tracks will be at lower elevations than others, and some tracks will be propped up a little bit higher. I don't really know why that happens, but it is a thing in this case. It all evens out in the end. There's no sense in replicating it. It doesn't add any value to the simulation. Alright, this is going to be an interesting one. And I had to deal with this at Landover. So this is river interlocking, I believe. And you notice there's crossovers on the tracks. I mean, on the curves. Of course there's crossovers on the tracks. What am I saying? There's crossovers on the curves, which is a very atypical thing. Especially like up here in Rhode Island and Massachusetts and all that. That's not really a thing. Except at like Shoreline Junction. But that's 60 miles an hour anyway. This is 110. Yeah, so it's really, really weird. We won't be able to super elevate these curves because of that. But in real life, what they do is they'll super elevate the part of the curve that's not in touch with the crossover, and then they won't super elevate part of the curve that is in touch with the crossover, or they'll super elevate it very, very slightly. Because super elevation and crossovers do not work very well together. It can cause issues, especially at varying speeds of trains. So, yeah, with the Train Sim World editor, and I wish I could pull it up and show you guys. I really, really do. I want to get permission from Dovetail to maybe show you guys the old editor. Or Train Sim World 1, not Train Sim World 2. I can't show that one. Certainly not. But yeah, you can, at your weld points, you can actually manually twist the track yourself to create custom super elevation values throughout the curve. And I think they added that because of my critiques of this editor a long time ago. Anyway, we have that in store for us way later down the road. We got to deal with the... Oh, this is a compound curve. Notice how it just got tighter? Right after the crossover. So it was... And then it gets tighter right after. You can kind of see it. So we'll have to deal with that. Gets even tighter still. And super elevates more. And then... Oh, it almost looked like for a second that it was shallowing out, but it's not. Okay, this looks like pretty typical track, to be honest. I wonder when we're gonna get hit with a curveball, though. Oh, we got plenty of normal track to work with for today. Oh, here we go. Oh, is this, Evan, is this where you, were getting hung up with the, separation in the Google Maps overlay? Where these tracks did their weird thing right before, what was this, Gunpow? Yeah, Gunpow. Alright, so that'll be our next curveball at Gunpow. Hey Sean, good afternoon. Thanks for joining the stream. I'm doing well. How about yourself? Yeah, so we'll have to do a little bit of stuff with the tracks at Gunpow. But other than that, it looks like we are in a decent spot to just do our thing. About time. Okay, let's get back to the charts. So, we are done with all this nonsense. Now we are here. And all these tracks are going to stay together, so I'm not going to concern myself too much with the variations in curvature, because all these tracks are going to be staying together. Alright, and we are here's a very important thing. We are laying from the perspective of track... Ah, shit. Damn. I'm going to have to change the track rule. I didn't change the track rule. Shit. I wonder if I can change a track rule mid-game. Because remember last time I closed the game and it caused the stream to freeze or something when I tried to start the game back up. Let me open up TS Tools. Where's TS Tools? There it is. I wonder if I can modify the track rule in-game and have it take effect. That would be epic. Let me just make sure the TS Tools window's good. Yes, you guys can see it. Perfect. TS Tools. Let me maximize it. Files, open TS2020 file, Washington, Baltimore, track rule. Okay, good. Can see that. Excellent. I'm going to scroll down. Here, let me change the font. This should be a little bit easier for you to see. Alright, parallel distance. I have to change that back to 4.2 because that's what we're at right now. I highly doubt it's going to let me do this. Maybe if I add a DLC. Let me add a DLC, like Academy for instance. Let me select the Academy template, and then let me select Washington, Baltimore again. See if it reloads the file. Oh, come on. It didn't. Alright, let me restart the game. And if I have to restart the stream, you'll see it. Give me a minute. I should be able to talk with you. No, I'm not going to save changes to the root. I'm going to restart Train Simulator and hope OBS does not shit its pants. Is it working? The game restarted. It did. Nice. We got lucky. That would have been epic if we were able to modify the track rule while we were in the editor. That would be great. Oh, Ron. Yeah, so what you gotta do is go into the Railworks folder, content, is it content? Or assets, the assets folder, whatever. You have to unpack the assets for the route that you're trying to modify. In this case, Washington to Baltimore. And you can unpack it with something as simple as 7-zip. 7-zip, it's just a zip archive, essentially. Once you unpack it, it'll expose the entire asset folder structure of the route. And inside, I think, the rail network folder, and then track rules. You'll have your track rule .bin file in there, and you can open that in TS Tools and make modifications to it. Okay. But you do have to unpack the AP file. That's a prerequisite. Okay, so now we're good. Look at that. That looks better. Everything is nice and even, 4.2 meters apart. Start. Oh, I was mentioning, we're laying from the perspective of track 3, so let me close the overlay. Track 3 is our leftmost track. And you can see that we're laying from that perspective because all of the guidelines for the easements tool, those purple and yellow lines, are coming off of the leftmost track, which is track 3. So, all the curvature values that I choose are going to be from the perspective of track 3. So I'm going to use this curvature value, 0.67 degrees. All right. $26.06. Now, oh wait, let me use the route markers now. Those are also from the perspective of track 3. I did that on purpose. See that red line? I'll show you guys how to do that some other time. It's pretty neat. That's, Evan, that's how we're going to avoid issues with the Google Maps overlay. We're going to use that red line. Yes, Ron, that can be unpacked in the current folder. So use 7-zip to unpack the AP file in that same folder, and then delete the AP file. And the game will still load the files, just not from the AP file anymore. And you can make changes to the files and everything right there. Okay. Let's take a sip of water. So yeah, Evan, we'll be using that red line when it comes time to us to get to gunpowder, because I know that there's screwed up imagery there. 2606 is what we're looking for curvature. And I'm not even certain that this is where the curve starts. So we're going to have to trim it back or maybe add a little bit more. It looks like we might have to trim it back because I can already see the spiral right here. But we'll see. 2606. Now is where the fun begins. Get to make some actual progress. 2606. Dude, did I nail that first try? No way. Huh. That would have been amazing. Alright, let's start with this main curve length of 91. Let's give that a try. So it's curving off too far to the right, so 91 was a little bit too far. Here's a perfect example of why you should never friggin' trust the undo tool. Look what it did to me. I used the undo tool twice, and it just deleted a whole bunch of shit. So use redo, and manually delete all your crap. Super annoying. Alright, so 91 was too much. Let's try 90. Never trust the undo tool, guys. Actually, this does look a little off at this point. Now it does. It looked decent before. Alright. So we're gonna slice... Actually, no, it looks great here. Alright, let's trust in the line. Yeah, it is a little off. Alright, so I gotta tighten that curve a little bit. 2606 is just a little bit off. Or I could use the passenger preset. But I don't really want to... Actually, I did modify the track rule. One second, let me look at this. I did modify the speed tolerances. I did. Look, passenger, 110. I did change it. So that's good, because this is a 110 mile an hour track for a Nacella. So I'll use the passenger preset instead, and we'll do 2606. And that might just be what we need. That appears to be just what we need. I wish I knew the exact length of these curves. Alright, let's try 95. That's a little off. But not much. Alright, so 2606 actually might be a little bit too sharp. Let's try 2650. That's not much different. Yeah, I don't like that. I'm thinking. I mean, the curve could start a little bit later, but it doesn't appear to. It appears like they are pretty long spirals. But let's just go with that. Let's just increase this by 10. And then do 2550, sorry. 25. That looks a lot better. There we go. We just didn't have the curve starting in the right spot. So let's do 110. Give that a try. And then check to where the next curve starts. So it's veering off to the right too much, which means that we curved it a little bit too much. 110 is too much. The undo tool is failing me again. Let's do 105. Now that is a thing of beauty. Alright. So now, before I finalize that curve, I want to make sure that I have my welds in the right spots. So, just going to find the beginning of the curve, which is right here, and I'm going to manually create all of my welds. Dun, 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 dun. Great. So now we can finalize this curve. I'm just going to do a save. Great. Turn back on the overlay. Now I need to figure out where the next curve begins. And this curve at River looks like it has pretty long spirals. So I'm going to stick with the main line preset. Let's just lay our tangent up to this cap pole. And now we're going to look what our next curve is. Hold up, let's take a look at the video. So we just laid this curve, which is just a regular horizontal curve. Got a pretty short tangent. Alright, good. Yep, and this is a more shallow curve. I just want to look out for any... the track charts do show a couple different changes. So these changes... I think it's still one curve. They're like the others. But there's a couple changes. Nothing too serious, though. They all appear to be changing in the same spot, which is nice. Let's look at the video. It should get sharper, and then even sharper. And I think I pointed that out before, when I first observed the video. Like, right after the switch, I noticed it getting sharper. Right here, sharper. And then even sharper right here. Can you guys pick that stuff up? Can you see that the same way I'm seeing it? I mean, I've got a lot of practice looking at these videos, but hoping that you guys can see what I'm pointing out as far as the curvature changing throughout the curve. Alright, but anyway, we're focusing on this curve right now. That right there actually is a tangent. That is a straight piece of track. And you can tell, actually, because... Here, I'll zoom in a little bit. See how this curve is on the top of this line, this horizontal line, and this is on the bottom of the horizontal line? That shows the direction that the curve is taking. So when it's curving, from our perspective, going north, when it's curving to the right, you'll see the rectangle on top. When it's curving to the left, you'll see the rectangle on the bottom. So, yeah. Anyway, 0.39. Throw that in the calculator. 4477. Ooh. Is that a Northeast Regional? Yeah. Shorter one than normal. Okay. 4477. Nailed it. 4477. Alright, let's see how this curves. It looks to be curving too early, which means my tangent is not long enough. I already laid 83. That's fine. I can do another 20. Let's start with 20. That'll be good. 4477. Now that's following that really, really well. I mean, I could do with shortening the tangent a little bit, but let me look at the charts and see exactly, or approximately, where this transition happens. Signal bridge. Wait, what signal bridge? What are you talking about? Okay, so right after... So this is an old signal bridge, I guess, right here. So right after the last crossovers is where the curvature starts. Sharpening. So that is right here, at this point. So we need to get it nice and lined up to that point, and then we will sharpen. So I did lay this tangent a little too far. But 20, let's go with 15. I'm gonna stick with our mainline preset because these are pretty long spirals from what I can discern. Oh, this song is nice and relaxing. 4477. Alright. Oh yeah, look at that. Now, one thing I want to be really, really careful of here. Very, very careful of, and this is just forethought. Welds and crossovers are incompatible. So, remember my last stream here? I want to show you guys something. Remember my last stream where I was laying track 1 over here at Bay, and I was like, oh, I want to make sure that the curve ends right before the crossover. You can see the crossover right here. Yeah, this is a better view. I want to make sure that the curve ends before the crossover because crossovers and welds don't really work well together. It's going to be a problem for track A. That's just inevitable because the crossover is on a curve. It might affect how this turnout is generated. Might have to move the weld a little bit down further, which we can do. I think this is a straight piece of track, so we have some flexibility with where the weld actually goes, which is nice. But I purposely made sure that this weld did not get anywhere near the turnout, and that the next curve, right here, the weld started beyond the turnout. So there's no welds interfering with the generation of this turnout. Alright. So we're going to utilize the... And look, this weld is... This just was happenstance. I didn't plan this. This weld generated... Oh wait, no, it did. It's after the curve, so I did place those manually. This weld is right before that crossover, so you don't want a weld intersecting a crossover, is my point, because the crossover will not generate properly. With that said, I need to be very, very careful. Well, now that I know I have my curve proper, I'm going to create my welds here. So there's my tangent, and here's where my spirals begin. Boom, 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 boom. This will give me another 1,000 meters of track to work with before the next weld is generated. Oh, oops, I forgot this. I'm a big dummy. You guys didn't remind me. It's fine. I didn't generate these welds, which is fine. Not a big deal. To isolate this curve. Alright, so now this curve is isolated between welds. Now we have our tangent, and now this curve will be isolated between welds. I'm going to do a save. Take a sip of this wine. Pretty tasty wine. What is it, 2015 Pinot Noir? It was on sale at the liquor store. Figured I'd pick it up. Alright. So now we got 1,000 meters of track before our next weld will get generated. So that should be enough to get us through our curve, because these ribbons are in 500 meter increments. Oh shit, look at that, Evan. We're running into it already. See the separation in the overlay? See the separation? We're gonna turn off the overlay right now, and we're gonna follow the red line. All right. So it looks like, I mean, it looked like the curvature in the video. It kind of looked like the curvature adjusted to more sharp just after the crossovers, but that might not be the case. I might have to start that adjustment before we get all the way through the crossover, which is fine. It doesn't matter to me. Huh. Yeah, alright. It's a little weird. A little bit off. Let's take a look at chat. Sean Graham is asking, I was attempting to make a route last night. I was just trying different things. I was wondering if you were going to make any new tutorial videos for beginners. I want to. And I'm hoping that these serve as good tutorials too. That's part of the reason why I'm doing this, is to teach you guys. But I do want to revamp my tutorial series because I have the ability now to record all my shit in 4K, which is nice, better than 1080p. The microphone setup is a lot better. I've got the copyright-free music, so now I don't have to worry about that crap. The production value is now just so much better than I had it set up 4 to 5 years ago. So yeah, I definitely do want to revamp the tutorials. Alright, so here's where we're going to start transitioning our curve. Right about here. Now, we transition to... Zoom out a little bit. So the curve goes to 0.6 degrees of curvature. 2910. Now, I don't know how quick this transition is, so we might have to mess around with mainline and passenger presets. I'm going to stick with mainline for now. So let's get that new 2910. Let's give that a shot. Oh yeah. Looks like we might have to go a little bit further. And I'm focusing... Let me turn off the overlay. I'm focusing on the red line right now, and it's very, very difficult to see this red line. I will admit. It's very, very difficult to see the red line. Might have to start this curve a little bit later, because the Google Maps overlay got all screwed up in this area. There's a tear. So we're partially ignoring the overlay for the time being. 2910 is what I said. 2910, 2900, 2919. No, I want 29. Yeah, that's fine. 2909. Now, where does our other sharper part begin? Not too far in. This is a pretty short curve, to be honest. And then it gets to 0.83. Doesn't really say. It's like halfway between these signal bridges. Let's figure out where those are. So wait, I got one signal bridge, which is actually the interlocking limits, and then there's another signal bridge over here. Why are there so many signal bridges? Probably just remnants from the PRR days. Yeah, that's the actual limits. And then there's another signal bridge here, according to the charts. Oh yeah, right there. So about halfway between them. Let's go with this cat pole. So to find that, I'm just going to place an object there. I'll just place an Amfleet Cafe. Just so I know where I want this part of the curve to end, approximately. And we might have to tweak the curve a little bit. Yeah, we're gonna have to tweak that a little bit. That's not curving the way I want at all. At all. Might start the curve a little bit earlier then. So instead of doing 105, I'll do 90. Turn off the overlay. And then we get into 2910 curvature. Great. That looks pretty good. I want it. Gotta get it to curve a little bit earlier. So now instead of 90, I'll do 80. You know, just playing around with the distances to get the curve to do what you want. 80 or 78, that's fine. 2910, then I'll take a look at chat. There we go. See that? See how you just tweak the values a little bit and then you can get it to line up nice. Alright, there's nothing new in chat. That's good. So now, let me place this and see if any welds generated and where. This might be problematic. And it is going to be problematic. See this? It's actually a really good lesson. Oh, you can actually see it in person. This crossover is going to cross right over this weld. And so will this one. So, what we have to do is manually create a weld before to reset the 1,000 meter thing. I don't even know why we got it to generate that quickly, to be honest. Is it because we changed curvature? No. They shouldn't have generated that quickly. Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to remember the value that I used. Actually, I don't have to remember the value. Just going to find an area without any crossovers. Kind of where two ribbons meet. How about right here? This looks good. Just create a series of 4 splits here. I wonder if I can use the split tool to split across. Look at that. Oh, hey now, that's great. I did that by holding down left control and then dragging with my left mouse. And now we've got welds in areas where there will not be crossovers. And then when I continue laying this curve, I'm hoping that I don't get an automatically generated weld. If I go back, it should be good. Look at that. So now we have these welds in areas that are fine. It's not intersecting a crossover. And we didn't get another set of welds auto-generated on a crossover. So it saves you pain later on to be very aware of where your welds are going. Okay? And that's at the beginning of the curve, so we're good with the beginning of this curve. Nice. Great. Let's do a save. Great. So now we are into this final part of the curve where it gets its most sharp. 0.83 degrees of curvature, and it's almost maxing out on super elevation too. 5.875 inches. The max allowed is 6. So in the Train Sim World Editor, I would actually manually make this curve bank at that level. This game, you have to depend on some stupid track rule calculation, which is annoying. Always hated that. 2104 is going to be our final radius. Now I might have to cut this track back a little bit. I may have brought it up too much, and it looks like I did. But we'll take a look. Yeah. I gotta get this curving earlier. Or, if we figure out that it just curves quicker, we might use the passenger preset to generate that spiral. But for now, I'm going to do a little trick to save myself a little time of going back and forth with the camera, and you saw me do this trick on the 18th. So that track was 487 meters in length up to that car. We know it's at least 400, so we're going to just lay perfectly 400, exactly 400, and then we just have to go back and forth from this point. We don't have to keep moving the camera back and forth as we make changes. So last time was another 87 meters, and that was proving to be too much. So let's do 50. There we go. 2104 is our new radius. Okay. And that's still not curving at the rate that we need it to, not even close. Just for shits and giggles, let me see if starting at this point works. Oops. Sec. Let me reset the tool. There we go. 2104. Hi Jessica, happy Saturday. Hope you're doing well. Ron is... Ron and Sean are having a little conversation in the chat. They're saying that they find it hard to find out where the curve starts. Yeah, that's really problematic. If you have good track documents, they can sometimes show you where the actual tangent to spiral transition is. I don't happen to have those granularity with the documentation for this particular route. I do for New Haven to Boston and the New Haven line, and I think, yeah, I have that kind of stuff all the way up to New York Penn from Boston. Okay, so let's see if this works. Otherwise, you just have to do trial and error and guess on where the curve starts. That's why I do so much trial and error with where I'm doing these curves. You have to start the curve in the right spot, otherwise the values for that curve will not add up. If you don't start the curve where it actually starts, it's not going to work out. Just mucking around in SimCity 4, Jessica. I haven't played SimCity since, 2000. Wasn't that the name of one of the games? SimCity 2000? That was fun. Played that on my old shitty Windows Millennium Edition computer. Anyway, this is looking pretty good so far. No, shit. It's got to curve more. Wow, that's amazing. The curve starts earlier than I thought it did. Or it's sharper than the documents say, which is a definite possibility. So let's do 300, and then we'll evaluate. Alright. So another 100 meters was not enough. Let's do... I mean, surely another 50 meters will be too little. Or 60. Oops, I accidentally laid a spiral. I do not want to do that. You gotta be very careful. Make sure if you're trying to lay main curve extensions, make sure that it's got the gray lines highlighted, not purple lines. Purple lines are going to be changes in curvature. Alright, so now, what's our value again? 2104? Oh my god. Yeah, it's weird though, because... Alright, that's definitely not gonna work. So another 68 is not enough. Oops, let me reset the tool. Just looking at the chat real quick. Oh, yeah, SimCity 2000 was the really, really old one. Like I told you, I was a kid when I played that. I was born in 92. So I was 7 or 8 years old when I was playing SimCity 2000. $2104. Yeah, it was SimCity 2000, and then the year after I started playing Diablo 2. Ooh, this is starting to look really promising. But now it's curving like crazy. Holy crap. There's some other curvature in here that I'm not aware of, I think. That's really, really weird. Doesn't mention any other curvature though. But you can see, like, right at the tail end, it's curving more. Or was that my screw up with plotting the Google Maps overlay thing? One sec, let me double check this. No, it definitely sharpens or something. Is there another split in the map? I don't think so. Alright, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make the curve start a little bit later and then just curve it a little bit sharper than what the documents say. So we actually will do that other 100 meters. And then, instead of 2104, we'll do 2000. It's just a very, very slight deviation from the track charts. But sometimes that's what you gotta do. And see, it's already not working. So 2000 was too much. So the track charts may be slightly off. So it's between 2000 and 2100 as the radius. That's what we know. Let's do 2075. Ooh, that is so close. So now it's between 2000 and 2075. Is 2040 the ticket? No matter how hard you try, you're never going to get exact curvature in this game. Nope, 2040 is too sharp. So it's between 2040 and 2070 before? 2075. Let's try try. Let's try to enunciate. 2064. 2062, let's try that. And that's not enough. So it's between 2040 and 2060. narrowing it down. And hopefully it works out. Oops. 2040 and 2060. Let's try 2050. And that seems to be right. So now I have to make this curve come on out perfectly. Let's take a look at the chat. Jessica says, by the way, considering the Landover subdivision still retains some of its XPRR catenary poles, yep. I made sure that Dovetail Games got that scenery part right. They had originally strung catenary on those, by the way. They thought that they were electrified, and I'm like, dude, just look at the track properties that I put on the track. I made that not electrified rail. There's no overhead electrification property on that track. Just remove the shit. And then they removed all the cat poles because they thought, oh, if it's not electrified, then the cat pole shouldn't be there. And then I said, no. I said remove the catenary, not the pole. Leave the pole. That was a big head scratcher. I was like, what is going on here? But they fixed it. And that's all that matters. That's what the beta testing period's for. Alright, so let's remember this number, 400 main curve. Come on out of the curve. That looks like a nice spiral. Perfect. It's curving too much because it's veering off to the left, so 400 is too high a value. Oh no, we're running into this problem. No! Not now. Come back later. I'll show you how to deal with that. Oh, I hate that shit. 400's too much. Let's try 370. Any track layers here? Have you ever ran into that issue where you're laying eased curves and you get these breaks in the track that you cannot fix? They will not weld. They will not do anything. That's the bane of route building, in my opinion. That fucking bug. Alright, 370. 370 is not enough. Looks like it might be 385. This is a nice happy song. 385. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. That's nice. Perfect. At least I think it's perfect. Let me just double check that. Starts to curve again. Oops. Let me reset the tool. It's been doing some weird things to me. And by relaying that curve... Oh, come on. What the hell's going on with this tool? By relaying that curve, I averted that bug, too. That's what you gotta do. That's a trick. You gotta just keep relaying the curve until it doesn't do that to you. Alright, yeah, that looks good. Perfect. Before I continue, let's just check the welds, and then we'll take a look at chat. I get rid of this now, too. So this weld auto-generated mid-curve, which is fine. There's no crossovers there. That's totally cool. This set of welds we manually placed so as not to interfere with crossovers in the future. And we have our beginning curve welds there. Great. Let's get out of the curve. Just lay... That's fine. And those welds got auto-generated, which is perfect. Let's do a save. I'm just going to use the bathroom really quick. You guys take a quick break, grab some snacks, grab some drinks, use the bathroom yourself if you haven't yet. I'll be right back. Alright, I have returned. Let's take a look at chat before we continue. Some Conrail discussion. Is Conrail still around? I see it referenced on some track documents still. Frosty Train Film says the outer track at New Carrollton used to be electrified. Yes, it used to be. Now the electrification ends for track, what was that, track 1? At Carroll Interlocking. And I made sure that that was accurate. And that they ended the catenary there too. One of the things that I was kind of torn about with Washington to Baltimore was that new interlocking. Here, let me show you really quick. Well, actually, no, you can look it up yourself. I don't have Google Earth open right now. But there's a new interlocking between Carroll and Landover where they're going to be doing 80-mile-an-hour crossovers, I think. It's called Hanson interlocking. And it was in construction when I was making Washington to Baltimore. But the signals weren't up yet, it was not in service, so I didn't include it at all. I really hope people aren't critical of that, because that was one of my concerns. The interlocking's not even in the timetable yet. Let's look at this other stuff before we continue. Nope, just more Conrail talk. Not really too much into freight, to be honest. I know there's a lot of people that love freight. I don't know, I just never got into freight. More of a high-speed kind of guy. Stand close to the tracks and have a Acela go by you at 150, like a foot and a half away from you. That's a thrill. Alright, so let's continue. We are at curve... Oh wait, this curve, right? Yeah, we finished this one. We are now at this curve. Oh, that's interesting. So it shows track 3 as a compound curve. But the other 2 are horizontal curves. I'm just gonna I mean, that's such a small deviation from 0.91 to 0.89. I'm just gonna lay these all normally. It's a pretty long curve too. It's like a just under a mile long curve or something like that, or over a mile, I forget. Wow, let's take a look at that. Where are we? Oh, seriously, where are we? One sec, let me look at the charts. I just want to orient myself. So this curve is at milepost 88.39. Okay. So that's this curve. We just finished laying this curve, I believe. Now we're getting into this curve, right? Yeah, I believe this is the curve we're about to lay. Nice. Yeah. This should be fairly simple. It's not doing anything crazy. It is a rather long curve, though. Holy crap. And at 125 miles per hour, no less. Okay, let's do it. So we're going to stick with our mainline spirals, because we are going well over 110 miles an hour. And the curvature value we're going to go with is 0.9. 1940. Alright, let's find out where this curve starts. That is a long-ass spiral. 1940. Okay. Ooh. No. Don't do this to me. Are you fucking kidding me? That's not right. So it looks like the curve starts a little bit later and is a little bit sharper. Or wait a minute, did I start the curve too early or too late? Probably too late. So 140 tangent. Oh no, that was my spiral, the 140. I got myself confused. It looked so straight because it's such a shallow spiral. Let me think of what I'm gonna do here. 1940. It's probably a little bit sharper than that. Let's do 0.89. 0.91. That's what it originally said, 0.91. 1919. It's probably going to be right around 1900. We're going to have to play with this one a little bit. Just because of how long the curve is. Yeah, see, it's starting to... Like, look, it's starting too early, but then, right here, it gets back to normal, and then it's almost like it's starting too late. That's screwy. I don't like that. And when I looked at the video, it didn't look at all like the radius of curvature. Here, watch. I'll show you a cool little trick with this video. If you set it to playback speed, faster. If you play back faster, I gotta do a couple of fasters. I don't know why. If you play back faster, then you can more easily see deviations in the track. So look at this. That looks very constant to me. Except for right there. Right after the bridge. It almost looks like it shallowed out. But I'm not going to read into that too much. Let me set the playback speed back to normal. Alright. I'm going to have to mess with this a little bit. Trying to think of how I want to tackle this. Start the curve a little bit later, but then make it sharper is what I want to go with. Alright. So I've got a 326 tangent. Let's just take it another 20. And instead 1940, let's try 1900. Or 1919, that would be exactly 0.9 or something, or 91. See, that ain't working. That ain't curving enough. Alright. I wonder if I'm going to have to adjust the track roll. I really do. For those speed tolerances, because right now and for the mainline preset, I have the speed tolerance, I think, set... Let me take a look. 130. I mean, that's close enough to 125. That shouldn't really create too much of a difference. But let's make this a little bit sharper. Let's make it 1850. Okay, that's close. Not quite enough, though. Let's do 1800. Basically, I want it to have that constant rate of curvature that it shows in the video and in the track charts, but it's slightly deviating from the track chart values, unfortunately. It's unfortunate we have to do that sometimes. Yeah, see, 1800 works for now. and continues to work for a little while anyway. And then that becomes too sharp. Alright, let's try 1830. I might have to adjust where the curve starts too. Kind of sucks I can't fully trust the charts. I wish I could, because they're good charts. Alright, that's not enough. So somewhere between 1800 and 1830. Let's go with 1815. Pixelate, you'd pay money for that geometry car footage. Not even supposed to have it. It's okay, it's being used in a responsible manner. It's not being used for anything malicious, and that's what counts. Yeah, there's some weird curvature thing going on here. It's shallowing out, I believe. Kind of like what I saw in the video. But that's like right toward the end of the curve, and I'm not even there yet. The end of the curve is... like, I saw it shallow out here. So now it's curving too much. Alright, so if it's starting to curve too much, shallow it out, but if I shallow it out, I have to start the curve earlier. So I could do 1820 and slice a bit off the start of the curve. That's me thinking out loud. 1820 and slice a little bit off the start of the curve. So instead of a 20-meter tangent, let's go with a 15. And then 1820. Oh god. I mean, it was looking beautiful. And then it started curving too much. So let's try 1825. And here I was saying that, oh, this shouldn't be too hard. There shouldn't be a crazy curve. Even the seemingly easy ones can throw some curveballs at you. But you will get it eventually. Holy dog shit. Like it... how does it go from almost centered to like way off to the right? It's gotta shallow out, and it's just not... it's not referenced on the charts. I might just have to take some creative liberty. But let's try a couple other values. Let's try 1833. Making some pretty good progress, guys. If I do say so myself. Ooh, that's the best progress I've seen yet on that curve. Ah, yep, and I am seeing the shallowing out. Right there. I mean, it's like spot on up to that point. Let me see if I can see that on the video. It's like there's an undergrade bridge. Where's that undergrade bridge? It's after this one, I believe. No. No, the undergrade bridge was this one coming up with the rails on the left side. This is where I'm starting to see it deviate. Yep, I am seeing a shallowing. And the track charts don't represent that. They don't say it. I mean, they do show a little shallowing on track 3 only, but that's 0.2 degrees. That's almost nothing. That's not even worth noting. It's less than that. Alright. So let's just evaluate all of this. It looks good. Up to that point. I think I'm going to stick with... I mean, it's right on point. It's right on point. Alright, let's get our welds in place. I'm liking where we're at. We're going to shallow out this curve. Let's do a save. Alright, sweet. So, what are we going to shallow it out to? Maybe back to the original track value of 1940? Or that's what the charts originally said. Let's do 1940. Let's see if that does it. That'd be so freaking hilarious. Almost. Not quite though, it's gotta go higher. So not 1940, let's try 2000. That works nicely for a little while. It's gotta be higher. 2050? Oh yeah, 2050 looks good for a little while, and then it gets less sharp again? Where am I noticing it getting less sharp? After the bridge, and that's where I originally noticed it. Let's look, do I see another shallowing out here? It's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. I definitely noticed it after this. Yep. It might do it again. Or perhaps I'm just starting this a little bit too late? It's perfect up to that point. Alright, shallow it out a little bit more. So I had 2050 last time. Let me do 2200. Whoa, 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 whoa. Are you kidding me? It's higher than that? No way. 3000? Seriously? These track charts are way off for this curve. I mean, it's not quite 3000, but it's almost. That's nuts. That's like 2,900. And that's way higher than what the track charts specify. Like, that's bad. Yeah. Alright, 365 for that part of the curve. Let's see how that works. 365 is a little much. Let's back that off. Almost done with this curve. I'm kind of surprised how this curve ended up. It just goes to truly show that you cannot trust the track documents. Not entirely, anyway. For the most part, you can. Alright, that's perfect. So let's just lay, I don't know, 200 meter tangent. And let's check our weld. Alright, good. So we got one auto-generated for us right where we wanted it anyway. Cool. Let's save. Coming up on 2.5 hours. I'll probably just do another half hour of this and then call it a day. Let's see where we're at though once this saves. Let's take a look. What milepost are we at? 86.5. So we started at 93 and now we're at 86.5. So we're 7-ish miles in to the track. It's a decent chunk, especially considering how difficult the starting bit was. That's the curve we just laid. Nice. Alright, let's get into the next one. Alright, this next curve... Oops. On the next... Oh, shit. You know what? Oh, damn it. Shit. I know what I did wrong. The curve continued on the next page. Curve continued on the next page. Oh, it did shallow out like I expected. See, right here. It went to 0.62. I wasn't wrong. God damn it. Alright. Let's see what 0.62 is. Maybe I got the value right. Can you believe that? The curve continued on the next page. 2816. And what was that last bit of the curve that I laid? 2905. Okay. That's within margin of error, and especially considering the other curves are 0.64 and 0.63 respectively. It's close enough. But yeah, the curve was so long that it continued on to the next page. Unreal. So I wasn't wrong. I was not losing my mind. It was shallowing out. So. Alright. Let's get into this next curve. This next curve is definitely a compound curve. And then we got a long straightaway. This will be a good example for you guys to see how perfect you have to lay the spiral out for this curve so it goes perfectly straight up until the next curve. Alright, so 0.98. $17.82. Kind of lining up the guidelines for the easements tool with that red line I placed. Start with that 144. Okay. What's that number again? 1782. 1782. Oh, that's looking nice so far. And then part of the way through, it gets more shallow. Okay. Where exactly does it get more shallow? Because I'm showing that the curve's not sharp enough, which likely means I started the curve too late. Which is fine. I can always cut this back. So we'll start at 140 instead of 144. $17.82. Nope. So it's between 140 and 144, the tangent. I'm gonna go with 141.5. This is why it's so crucial to get where you start your curve proper, because it drastically changes how the curve plots. It's looking pretty good. Alright, so right about here is where it starts to shallow out. Great. Let's, now that we know we have our spiral properly, we're going to make our welds. Oops. Where's my division point? Right there. Alright, so now it shallows out to what? 0.85. Approximately, because these other tracks are doing their own thing. 0.8, 0.82, so there's quite a bit of a deviation. Which is fine. Take a sip of my water. Alright, 2054. That's what we're going to be shallowing out to. Let's see if we can see it in the video. And maybe we can get... Oh, what was that? Was that a track worker or a trespasser? Did you guys see that? See the guy on the tracks? Oh, he's wearing a hard hat and a vest, it appears. Oh yeah, that's a track worker. Actually, let me count cat poles. So from the start of the curve, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I start noticing it shallow out. So let's see if we got that right. Or close. Anyway. I think this was the first one I counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe I counted one further. It's right around this area. We'll find out soon if I messed up. 2054. It doesn't appear I messed up too badly. Anyway, it is starting a little bit late, but not much. So I went 500. Alright, let's go 490. and then 2054. Still looks like it's starting a little bit too late. Let's do 470. 475. $20.54. Keep having to double check that number. Alright, so it looks like the opposite is happening. I need to go higher than 500 because it's not curving enough before I want to smooth it out or shallow it out. Alright, I can do that. Let's do 400 and then a 110. Sometimes it behaves that way, where it wants more track instead of less before you shallow it out. Then 110, and then I'll do 2054. And then we'll see how that looks. Much better. Much better. Nice. Except I'm gonna go a little bit further with this little bit. Instead of 110, I'm gonna go. What am I gonna do? 113. Then 2054. I'm gonna smooth this bad boy out. There we go. That's what I want to see. That looks good. Cool. So now we need to end this curve in such a way that straight track continues perfectly all the way to the next curve. And it's a considerable distance to the next curve, so we have to get it perfectly right. I'm going to grab my cell phone, and I'm going to write down all of these values that I try, because it could be quite a few numbers. Just finding my little notepad app. Okay, so we're gonna start with 220.1. Just jotting that down in my phone, 220.1. Now we're gonna end the curve. And now we're gonna continue straight. And we're gonna see how far off we are. We're already seeing that it's too much. Here, let me get rid of the overlay. Oh, and we're running into that issue again. I hate that. Hopefully our trial and error will resolve that organically. So we laid it too much track, so let's do 215 instead. There's another way to resolve that if it's being stubborn. Alright, so 215 is also too much. Let's do a quick save here. Alright. Let's try 210. Once we find the value, then we'll worry about that glitch with the bumpers. Hate that stupid ass glitch. Alright, so it's looking like 210 is not enough. So it's between 210 and 215. I'm gonna try 211.5 maybe. It's close. Not enough, though. Almost there. Let's try 212.2. Then once you find the value, we'll worry about this nonsense. So far it's lining up beautifully. Oh yeah. Just see if it stays that way all the way up to the curve. And it does. Wonderful. 212.2 is our value. I'm going to jot that down to my phone. 212.2. Perfect. Now let's get rid of all these little sections that we generated so we can focus on fixing that glitch. Now there's a couple ways to go about it. You can try completely relaying your curve, which is a complete pain in the ass because it completely destroys all the work we just did. Also, you can try from this point, instead of laying one piece of track to make your spiral, you can try doing it in increments. And it ends up accomplishing the same goal. Alright, so see, I laid that little bit and it didn't do the glitch. Now let's try doing the whole thing. Alright, it got track 1's away. Let's try it in smaller increments. We fixed it. See that? Alright. But the thing is, I don't want welds that close to where the curve ends. So I'm just going to manually create a set of welds about halfway through the curve, just to reset the weld thingamabob. Control, left click, drag. Ooh, it's not letting me weld that track. It's glitched. That track is glitched. That's the bug at work. Actually, I don't even need to control left click. I just can left click. Alright, now we're good. This is before the glitch started happening on the track. I didn't have to do control. I thought I had to do control. I guess I don't have to do control. Guys, you don't have to do control. It's a miracle. Okay. So now let's get out of the spiral. And now we are glitch free. And we have our proper curve. And now we can, hopefully, the glitch won't happen on this tangent. It happened on the tangent. Alright. Let's try doing small little increments. And then we can jump into it. Shit! Is this gonna catch up with me? Come on. Let me just make my welds really quick. Is it gonna glitch out when I try to make my weld at the end of the curve? These tracks I know are fine. It's the outside tracks that end up being glitchy. Shit, I can't make my weld there. Alright, Alright, how am I gonna handle this? Alright, let's rip this up. I hate this glitch. With a passion. Let's do a couple smaller increments to get this finished. See if this will work. Highly doubt it. Nope, it's not cooperating. Alright, ignore the welds for now. That's just inevitable sometimes with this glitch. How many increments is it going to take me to get out of this glitch? Shit! Now it's happening on track 2. Anybody in chat have any other experience with this? I'm assuming not, but... Alright, good. I got out of it. Finally got out of it. Alright, let me save this. And then let me see if I can figure out welds at the end of that curve. I don't like that. Alright. I mean, it's not the end of the friggin' world if I don't have a weld there. I don't really... It's just for neatness. Mostly just neatness. Nope, it's glitched. What if I get, like, right here? Big time glitched. Alright, I'm not gonna worry about it. Just take note that this curve is not going to have a weld at the north end of it. Alright. Hopefully we're out of it now. So far, so good. So far, so good. All right. I'm fine with that. That's all good. There's really no way, other than what I did to fix that, that I know of. Nice. Let's save this. Yeah, you're familiar with it, Evan? Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. But at least you saw kind of how you can get out of it. Right. This will probably be my last curve. And then I'll end the stream. Where are we at right now? Let's follow the video. So we just did this curve. We just did this straightaway. Actually, let me see. Is that going to be... Is no weld there going to be an issue later on down the road? No, it's not going to be a problem. Because you can see the end of the curve here lines up with a even gradient. It's going downhill at an even slope. It's not until after we get out of the curve that it starts to change that elevation. So we're good. We got lucky. Because we can't put a weld point there. Oh, wait a minute. No, we can still do a gradient change. Just no weld. Never mind. I read into it too much. In any case, we're good. We're fine. Alright, so... These tracks curve differently. Oh, that's crazy. It's like completely flat here, too. You don't see that too often. Little Norfolk Southern freight there. Now we're almost at the point where we've done 10 miles of track. Yeah. Yeah, this part will be easy. Because it's perfectly flat. Love that. Sweet. Now we're right here. And you can see it starts to go downhill, just like it shows in the video. Alright, so from what I can see on the chart, track 3, which is the track the train's on in the video, starts to curve a little bit sharper than the other tracks. I'm not going to do that. Let's take a look in the video. I'm just going to keep all the tracks together because we're not going to make this ridiculous. Oh, nope, I'm going to have to. Shit. I'm not going to do this curve right now in this video. Yep, did you see that? Track 3 actually does its own thing. Look at this. Like once the train gets into the bridge, or before the bridge, you can see the separation from track 2. And then it goes straight. It actually does go straight briefly, and then gets right back into a curve. And then rejoins with the rest of them. Alright, this is going to be a little bit more complex. I could lay tracks 2 and 3, I mean sorry, 2 and 1. Those are together the entire time. Let me see if this changes behavior on the next page. That's one thing I learned today, is check the next page. Wow, that's a long curve. God damn, that's a long curve. But yeah, track 3 does its own little thing, and then it rejoins how these guys curve. That's gonna take a little bit of time. And then we'll get to Gunpow. Alright. So those can be laid together. Two, 1, and track A. I'll have to do that one separately. Okay. Then we'll do the weirdness of Gunpow. Where did I find that video? A friend gave it to me. But I'm using it responsibly, and I ripped out all the identifiable pieces of it. So it's useful for stuff like this. Cool. So I think we're in a good spot to call this stream today. Evan, are you still watching? Evan is the leader of this project, by the way. He's the one spearheading it. Evan, if you are here, if not, I'll send it to you on Facebook. If you plan on continuing, just keep in mind that weirdness with track 3. I'll send you the root file after I end the stream in a few minutes. Just be very, very careful. It's a little deceiving, but as you can see from the video, track 3 does some weirdness, and then like mid-curve, it rejoins everything and just continues normally. Alright? So, right now we are at milepost 82, which means we've gotten past 10 miles of track laying, which is great. We're 10 miles into this route now. Does anybody have any questions for me before I end the stream today? I'll wait a minute for any last minute questions to come in. Well, Tom, if you have any specific questions regarding the catenary design, just let me know. I actually have some documents that show, like, is it PRR catenary or is it like new catenary that New Jersey Transit put up? PRR? Yeah, I have some diagrams that actually show like PRR catenary, like how far the insulators are from. Let me see if I can pull it up. Maybe I have it with me. Give me a sec. Ooh, that's an old one. Maybe this one's better. Ooh. I mean, these are really old drawings. What is the date on this? Oh, these are just the insulators. Oh, for overhead bridge insulator assembly. Dated 19... What does that say? 51? I have something else. I swear. Yeah, I'll see if I can dig it up for you. I had something. I know I've got catenary design for New Haven to Boston. This is just insulators that I have here. Yeah, I mean, these are really old scans. And I just have some notes on catenary height. Yeah, I don't have it. I don't have it handy right now. Oh yeah, Ron, I'll help you with the red line. These route markers. So basically, you lay a path in Google Earth, following the track, and then you export that as a KML file. You bring that KML file into TS Tools, that program that I've been using to edit the track rule, this tool. There's a section called route building tools at the top, marker files, and then convert markers direct to DCSV. And what you'll do is you'll first point to the root folder, and then you'll hit proceed, and then you'll point to your KML file with the path, and then it will create all these marker files for you. And then once you import that DLC into the route, you can tick this route markers option on and off, and yeah, that's kind of how it works. Tom, I don't think the document is on the Facebook group. I'll have to dig it up for you. I remember seeing one though. It was PRR catenary specification. It showed like the width between the poles and the width between the track centers and how far the insulators are separated. It was everything. Alright, if there are no more questions, then I'm going to... I already saved the route, so we're good there. Then I'm gonna get going. You guys can always find me on Facebook. The group is Northeast Corridor Simulator Development. If you're not a member of that, you're welcome to join. I'm also on Steam. You can find me on Steam, Facebook, the Dovetail Games forums. There's a route post in the creators section for this route. Where else? Can reply with a comment to this video once it becomes an actual video and not a live stream anymore. Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways to reach out if you got a question. Alright, you guys take care.